Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL Game Week 20 review, Game Week 21 preview. Again, this is the final game week in this rush that we are having. Deadline is tomorrow, guys. Be ready. 7 p.m. CET, 8 p.m. South African time. Make sure that you're ready for it. Let's start as usual with the table. This is a crazy week, guys. Terrible week for me. Leaving Igor Thiago on the bench has really cost me, as you can see, but all the well for Alu Boys and Azra making a big jump there up the table. First, second, third, fourth, only the extension of the lead at the top now, over 100 points for Suad, doing really, really well. For the rest of the teams, all the way from 2 right up to 10, they are not more than 20 points between any one of those teams, so it's all to play for. Really good week as well for Dora, really good week for Frosty FC as well, and great performances. So let's look at some of the highlights from there as well. Looking at the player selections, only one staple remains, Erling Haaland in 17 of the teams. Just the captaincy makes a difference now. He is blanking as well, a couple in a row, which is going to create some doubts, but at this moment in time, can you afford not to have him if he fires? The differentiators this week, 9 of them, guys. Midfielders coming to the fore here, and a few defenders as well. Florian Wirtz scoring again, just one manager having him, and despite him being a differentiator, he couldn't make it into our top 11. Nathan Collins having another back-to-back fantastic week as well. In defense, Jack Grealish, Enzo Fernandez, Bruno Guimaraes among the scorers there. As you can see, just few managers holding on to them, as well as Malik Tor, all of them 3 or less managers. Tijani Reinders scoring again for Manchester City in that 1-1 draw with Chelsea. 4 managers holding on to him, Igor Thiago and Declan Rice, 5 managers having him. Not all of them playing him, unfortunately, so that is just one of those things, but fantastic performances by all of these players as well. Now, what that led to is, of course, great defensive performances at the back there by Suat, Didi, Maipai, Atta, Hassan, Squish, as usual, and Ansu, fantastic 20 plus points. And on the striker front, Suad, Azra, Hassan, and Mohamed Sadiq managed to get some points out of those strikers in what was not the most fantastic of weeks. But look at the benching. 3 players hitting 17 points and not all of them making it onto the field. Hot benches for myself, Suad, and Fatih. All of us ending up leaving points on the bench, which was quite unlucky. So looking at what the team looked like, Verbruggen getting the number 1 jersey, closely beating out Nick Pope, gets the bench. Gabriel and Collins are flanking Malik Tor, who's got 34 because he gets the captaincy this week based on his pricing. But 17 points for him, tied with Declan Rice, who again on midfield, look at that, Enzo, Bruno Guimaraes, Tijani Reinders and Jack Grealish. No place for Florian Wirtz because of his cost, unfortunately, so he does not make the top 11. Thiago leading the line with Ollie Watkins being his backup, and on the bench there you've got Mickey van der Ven, Jared Bowen and Matty Cash making up the difference. Now, what does that mean? Total points 142 with 164 if you played the bench boost this week. Total cost of 91 million. So, guys, again, a very affordable team if that's the way you want to go for this particular week. Now, looking at the matchups coming up as well, there is a break after this game week, another 11 days before we get the next game week, and then we set into some, let's say, steady state as we go along. Now, let's look at what it means for this week. You got to look out for Arsenal versus Liverpool. So the current champions versus the top contenders for the league title this week. It's going to be a home game for Arsenal, so watch out there and see. Let's see if Liverpool can put a spoke in there. Then you've got Brighton who are taking on Manchester City. Now Manchester City did throw away an unfortunate lead at Chelsea, but it was a good game. Let's see what they can do against Brighton. Crystal Palace have a tough run coming up. Aston Villa, who are on form. Sunderland, who are very tough to beat away. Then Chelsea before they get on to North Forest and Brighton. So at least 3 weeks of tough ones for Crystal Palace. Don't forget, in January they are playing 9 games, the same as Arsenal, the same as Liverpool, the same as Chelsea. All the teams in the Champions League and Europe competitions are playing the same, and Crystal Palace is also moving forward in the Cup, so it's going to be very, very difficult for them in January. Liverpool are the other ones, of course. Tough games so far, even the draw against Fulham last week, and then Arsenal now away. Let's see if they can do anything before going to Burnley. They have Ekitike, who is carrying a slight knock from last week, which prevented him from playing. Alexander Isak is still out, of course, and looks like Fede Chiesa is not getting a chance to start. If you've got Cody back, Gakpo, chances are he will get the minutes, but still waiting to find out on that. But looking at the teams that we want to focus on, Aston Villa running into a good run here with Crystal Palace and then Everton, then taking on Newcastle United at St James's before having that. They have a fairly good run of games coming up. Brentford as well taking on Sunderland, who are definitely missing a lot of African players who are at AFCON currently before going up against Chelsea and Notts Forest. And then you've got Everton, you've got Wolves and Leeds coming up in the next three. A terrible, terrible result for them on the weekend, but hopefully they can bounce back on this one. Um, then you've got Manchester United, who are now missing a manager, but they do have a backup manager in place. Against Burnley, you would expect them to win regardless of management style or not. But then a very tough game back-to-back, Manchester City and Arsenal back-to-back. It's going to be very tough for them before they go on a slightly better run. They're hoping to get Bruno Fernandes back in one of those two games, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Then you've got Newcastle United, who've got two great games coming up against Leeds and Wolves, and Notts Forest against West Ham, who were terribly beaten by Wolves on the weekend. And Spurs have a tricky one against Bournemouth before having good fixtures against Wolves and Burnley, but West Ham and Burnley, but they are really struggling to score, so just be aware of that one. Kudus also picking up a knock, not sure whether he will start. And in West Ham, games that look good on paper, but they are really struggling considering the hiding that they got from Wolves on the weekend. But if you're looking at Jared Bowen or Lucas Paqueta, those are the only two that I would call out. Maybe Areola as a backup keeper, but only because of price, guys, no other reason. So let's look at what that means uh, for the players that we're selecting. So Sanchez had a knock, which is why he was not there for the Manchester City game. He is still doubtful, so possibly looking at Jorgensen to play again in the game this weekend. Pickford from Everton because of the great fixtures coming up, and he's a class act. Lemons from Manchester United. Burnley is a good fixture for them to keep a clean sheet. Pope for Newcastle, again based on his fixtures and his form. And Areola again as a good pick on the outside for West Ham. A couple of injuries on the defensive side. Ruben Diaz and Josh Guardiola both getting injured in that game against Chelsea. So let's see how it works and whether they can actually play, or we might see Kusanov take a spot again in the Manchester City lineup. Levi Colwill still out for Chelsea, as Kukurea is doubtful. Calafiori is out for Arsenal. Byrne is out for Newcastle. Munoz definitely out for Crystal Palace. Richards is still highly doubtful. They really do need to come in there. Joe Roron is definitely out for Leeds now, and Jared Brantwaite still waiting to come back in for Everton. Our picks, though, Nathan Collins gets a call out because of his great performance back to back. Gabriel and Timber, fantastic. I mean, Gabriel, after giving away a goal against Bournemouth on the weekend, then comes back a stellar recovery to do the equalizer. So definitely one to watch. Julian Timber is also very good on his attacking form. Mickey van der Ven from Spurs is a good low-cost pick, and considering their fixtures, might get some clean sheets and possibly some attacking returns. Dogo for Manchester United, essentially the same story. Malik Tor, of course, we've seen what he can do based on what he did this week. Matty Cash, as well for Aston Villa, has been giving good returns. Tarkowski and Keane are a formidable duo from Everton. Tarkowski is super expensive, so you might want to look at Keane as a bargain basement pick. But Keane's minutes will be impacted the moment Jared Brantwaite is back in the team, so just be aware of that. Looking at the midfield, Spurs again in a lot of trouble there. Madison, Kulusevski and Kudus. So these are three creative players that are out. Dewsbury Hall still out for Everton. Fernandes also for Manchester United, as well as Mount, which means they'll probably play Xerxes, Cunha, etc., trying to get things moving with Ben Sesko up front. Ilanga still doubtful for Newcastle, as is Jacob Murphy now, so wing play is going to be trouble for them. Yakuba Minte is still doubtful for Brighton, and Hudson-Odoi picked up a knock for Notts Forest. But we're looking at banking on Morgan Rogers and John McGinn. John McGinn gets a call out because of his brace on the weekend. Fantastic performance by him. Tijani Reinders, Shirky, Manchester City, the two of them linking up beautifully, and they are really well priced. So if you're looking at moving away from Phil Foden, that might be an option for you. Then you've got Matthias Cunha from Manchester United, who scored on the weekend, possibly scoring more against Burnley. Let's see how that will work out. Until Bruno Fernandes is back, he's probably the best option at Manchester United right now. Then you've got Anthony Gordon and Bruno Guimaraes at Newcastle to provide that attacking threat. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs White and Notts Forest. Gibbs White also providing the assist on the weekend. And then from West Ham, Lucas Paqueta is the only call out in midfield. He is back in the squad, so ready for the game this weekend. And then from Arsenal, Saka should play against Liverpool because he was rested in the game on the weekend. Rice, based on his performance, and he's just been formidable this season. Not sure how much he will score. I mean, he's not a goal machine per se, but he does come up with them every once in a while. And then Leandro Trossard is always a good pick, fairly good budget pick. Definitely gets reduced minutes, which is a concern, but he does most of the time return. And then Kevin Shahada, based on his performance and Brentford's fixtures coming up, definitely a good punt to go to. And then looking at the forwards, guys, Kai Havertz still out for Arsenal, waiting for his return. Dominic Solanke, Wood and Muniz all still out. Alexander Isak's after undergoing surgery, still no thought that he will be back on the field soon. Ekitike is still doubtful after that little knock that he picked up prior to the last game. Isidore from Sunderland also doubtful, and Nketiah from Palace. But Haaland still leads the line, even though he's blanked a couple of weeks in a row. This week, City have a good fixture against Brighton, a chance for him to pick up the scoring again. Igor Thiago, after that hat-trick, should definitely be on everyone's radar. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, unlucky against Manchester United, but that is a tough game for them as well. But this week he gets a chance to apply his trade against Newcastle. Let's see how he does against that defense. And then you've got Richarlison from Tottenham, who's definitely looking at the most likely to score for them, if anyone. Ollie Watkins and Aston Villa also returned on the week. Jared Bowen from West Ham again didn't score against Wolves, but he is the best path to go for West Ham if you're looking to go there. And then Yohan Wissa, and we've definitely called out Wissa instead of Waltemada only because of the rotation at Newcastle. It seems that this is the game for Wissa in midweek, whereas Waltemada has started the games on the weekend. That's just a call out that we have, but if you have Waltemada, definitely worth a hold as well. I wouldn't swap the two of them. They're just going to be sharing minutes going forward. Alright guys, so that's what we have for this week. It's a quick update. I've also got to prepare for some travels off to London tomorrow, so we'll hopefully bring you an update from there as well. So take care, make sure that you get your changes done before the deadline. I will send out reminders as well, and until then, good luck and so long for now.